Hello, preschool coordinators. This is Andrea Bartholomew, the branch manager for the school readiness team from the Department of Education. I'm coming to you today with some updates about our preschool program annual determination process. This was something that we had anticipated speaking with you all about during our spring leadership meetings, which were canceled. So we're going to post this video onto the KDE Media portal. We'll be able to have access to it continuously, and are willing to provide any technical assistance you will need with this process moving forward. So as we all know, we have a new application system this year in GMAP. When this PowerPoint was created, we had just went live with the GMAP application. We are very excited to say that every district in the state did participate in the grant application and enter their information into GMAP successfully. There was a few kinks and a few things we had to work out, but overall, I think the system worked really well to gather program evaluation information for us, as well as the program approval information that we will need moving forward. This is our timeline for the grant application system as well as the determinations process. As we've talked about a lot, GMAP collects all of the information that we will need for program evaluation for the current school year. So we're using the current school year information to approve your program for the following school year. So GMAP opens up in January to the 31st of March. We provide technical assistance. We help you guys get the information you put in there. Hopefully all that was easy for you to obtain this year. March 31st, the GMAP would close, and that's when the KDE review would begin. We would start looking through those applications, making sure that the budget pieces were detailed enough, making sure that all the information had been completed correctly, and clarifying with districts if we had any questions about something that popped up, or maybe you misentered a number or two, things like that. And then hopefully moving forward by June 1st, we'll be able to have district determinations submitted. This year things are a little bit delayed because of the pandemic. We were a little delayed getting started with our KDE review, having to kind of pause that a little bit to deal with school closures and helping districts to be able to continue providing those NTI services, which you all did such a great job of. I'm really proud of how the preschool community pulled together for that. But so we're a little bit behind schedule, but I think we're still going to be able to make it in a regular year. In a regular year without a pandemic, I think that June 1st would be a date where you will receive your district determination. I'm going to go into that a little bit more in depth in just a minute. But then July 1st, that first preschool allocation, that first quarter payment is sent out from the department. You all should have received your allocations from Nicole Crosswaith from the finance department here at the Department of Education. If you have any questions about your allocation, please contact her first. She'll be able to give you the most detailed information about the actual allocation. And if you need to, feel free to give us a call at the branch. We can talk about it as well. But she would have the most detailed information for you. So annual preschool determination. So GMAP is the first step of our new monitoring system. So all of this will take the place of P2R, KPS. All of that is in the past. This is our new preschool determination system, and it will be annual. That is one piece of our statute and our regulation that it was brought to our attention that we were not necessarily following, that it does say an annual preschool determination, an annual preschool evaluation will happen. GMAP is the first step in that. The other monitoring items that we can review would be things like your transition rate from the performance report, information from districts that we might, district support staff, or information from teachers, information from parents, information from our RTCs that may provide us with some anecdotal information. We also look at the rates of kindergarten readiness. These are all things that we put in to a big spreadsheet and kind of look and see where each district falls. This is not by any means are we tagging districts or saying that districts are not performing well based on one idea alone. We're bringing in lots of sources of information to make sure that all the programs are functioning the way that they should. So this program will be called the Annual Preschool Determination. If you are a DOS in your district, this probably sounds a little familiar as we are modeling the system after IDEA. The IDEA determinations process is required by IDEA law. So we have modeled our system after theirs. Now that we are all in the same office, it's easier to combine resources and combine brains to think of the best way to do things. And this seems like it will be really successful with preschool. So the biggest thing right now, when you receive a GMAP approval, that does not automatically ensure a meets requirement for your program determination. For program determination, you're either going to meet requirements or does not meet requirements. So it does not matter in GMAP if everyone's application in GMAP will be approved this year because everyone completed it in a timely manner. So we're going through and approve them, but we don't want you to get confused and think that that is a meets requirement determination because it's not. They are separate issues. So the additional information when we determine a program's effectiveness are the things I talked about earlier. You know, that transition rate, if your teachers are certified or not certified, or you have a lot of preschool associate teachers, your kindergarten readiness rate, things like that that we'll pull together to provide information to determine the effectiveness. These are some of the examples. Again, those child find and full utilization forms. Those were tricky for some people to get their hands on. And I think a lot of times it's because it becomes a historical artifact and you're not sure where to find it. You know what it is, you know how you do it, but you just can't lay your hands on that information. So that's something to keep in mind as we revamp and we move forward into the next school year, having that information handy. So each district will receive a determination of does not meet requirements or meets requirements. Districts that receive a does not meet requirements will be placed into the monitoring process. This process has 3 levels. Pretty much, you can look at this and say year 1, year 2, year 3 in the needs category. So if you have a needs assistance determination and we help and we support and things don't get better, then you would go down to needs intervention where we would provide even more in-depth support, so on. We're going to go through this as a screenshot, screen grab of the paper that we have to look at determinations. This is what this would look like based on your does not meet requirements. So if you need assistance, that's the first year of a not met, and that's going to be something that would require intervention from or assistance from the department. The second consecutive year does not meet, you go into needs intervention. And then the fourth consecutive year of a does not meet determination or meet requirements, you would be in needs substantial intervention. This could also be triggered at the discretion of the associate commissioner or the division director, or the results of an on-site monitoring visit. So if your district was pulled for consolidated monitoring and we're on site and we see something that is an egregious break of health and safety regulation or is a huge issue with ratio or staffing in your district, we could go ahead and place you in needs substantial intervention at that point because we have seen with our own eyes that there is a substantial regulation violation happening. The last one to this category would be a persistent failure or not able to comply. So if there is something that's happened in your district that is fairly egregious, like a ratio violation that continuously happens, not those little breaks that we all know happen every day where someone is left with 10 or 12 kids and for a minute while someone runs out the door, but this would be having 27, 28 children enrolled in your classroom on a daily basis. Those kinds of things. If you continue doing that regulation violation, you can be put into this persistent failure or not able to comply category, which is kind of a subcategory of the needs substantial intervention. This kind of goes through the next couple of slides on what the penalty is or what will happen with these different categories. With needs assistance and needs intervention, and even needs substantial intervention, Those are the categories that we will help and support, provide technical assistance, provide on-site visits, on-site monitoring, on-site TA through the department, as well as our RTC partners as able to connect the finding or issue to special education, having that kind of constant help and support. If your district does end up with persistent failure to comply or not able to comply, the associate commissioner or the division director can reserve the right to put you into that category at any time. And as you can see here at the bottom, that can mean withholding in part funding from your district in whole or in part. So the enforcement actions for all the other levels, as I was talking about just a second ago, the KDE provides policy, procedure-related regulation, desk audits, a completion of a checklist, could be a site visit, could be a paper visit, or even a communication via email or SharePoint, Dropbox type of things. The needs intervention, that one would pretty much guarantee an on-site monitoring visit, but could be in addition to doing all the other things, creating action plans, creating corrective action plans to have you correct the program problem within a year. And then, of course, you need substantial intervention if it's a persistent failure to comply with any regulation pursuant to 704 KAR 3:410 or KRS 157.3175. The department can withhold in whole or in part further payments to the district under the grant funding allocation system. Or if it's a special education matter, we will refer for appropriate enforcement action with DMR, which is the Division of IDA Monitoring and Results. If that's an issue with special education services, special education, files, folders, FERPA, things like that, if we find something of that nature, we would refer that to the DMR side of our office. We pulled this section out just one more time to make sure that it is understood that while the department will support and will help and will provide technical assistance in any way we can, at the end of the day, if things are not changed after a substantial amount of time, that the funding for your district, for your preschool program, could be withheld. Typically, that would start with the first quarter payment that is released in July 1st would not be released to your district until you become compliant. And if the district continues to be non-compliant, we would continue to withhold those quarterly funds. That's not something that we take lightly here at the department. We know that you don't take that lightly because preschool programs are not funded enough right now, and having the thought of withholding funding can be a little scary and can be intimidating, but we want you to know that this process is new for us. And so we're going to take our time and we're going to try and do it correctly so that next year we can even reinforce it some more so that we'll be able to have a better understanding and a better idea of the technical support that you districts need to successfully run your preschool programs. That's where we want this program or this process to end up, is to provide true technical assistance, true support to our preschool programs across the state. Please let me or Stephanie Ernst, she was the co-author of these documents with me, please let us know if you have any questions or concerns about this process, and remember that we are always here to help and support you as you serve the littlest learners in the Commonwealth. Thank you so much.